How exactly does a massive, seemingly invincible medieval empire rise to absolute dominance, only to be completely destroyed from the inside out in less than a century? Well, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive into the spectacular rise, the monumental holy wars, and the shocking internal betrayal that defined one of the most powerful Muslim dynasties in history, the Ayyubid Sultanate.
Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start with the rise of Saladin, move on to the Crusades and expansion, take a look at family rule and culture, and finally, wrap up with the Mamluk revolts and fall. All right, let's ground ourselves in the High Middle Ages, specifically looking at the era between 1171 and 1250. This wasn't just some small regional kingdom. The Ayyubid Sultanate, which was founded by the incredibly iconic Saladin, was a massive geopolitical powerhouse. Its footprint stretched all the way across Egypt, Syria, Upper Mesopotamia, the Hejaz, and Yemen. And the whole thing was anchored by the twin beating hearts of the empire, the capital cities of Cairo and Damascus.
Part 1. The Rise of Saladin.
You know, Saladin didn't just inherit this massive empire. He literally engineered it from the ground up. He actually began his career serving the Zingi dynasty over in Syria, but he was clearly destined for more. He strategically took control of Egypt, and then he goes ahead and abolishes the ruling Fatimid Caliphate, which effectively cleared the board of his major regional rivals. By 1171, he achieved the ultimate goal. He united both Egypt and Syria under his sole rule.
Moving on to Part 2, the Crusades and expansion.
Whenever we talk about the Ayyubids clashing with European powers, the entire conversation really pivots around one single, absolutely crucial year, 1187. This is the year Saladin secured his legendary victory at the Battle of Hattin. And the fallout from Hattin? It was an absolute earthquake for the medieval world. Saladin recaptures Jerusalem from Christian control. Now, this wasn't just a military win, right? Taking back the Holy City completely shifted the geopolitical balance of power, and it firmly established the Ayyubids as the undeniable force in the Middle East. But, as we know, an action of that magnitude guarantees an equal reaction. Saladin's triumph directly triggered the Third Crusade, and it brought King Richard the Lionheart of England straight to his doorstep. It was a grueling, truly legendary clash of titans. But the Ayyubids managed to hold their ground, successfully defending most of their newly won territory.
All right, Part 3, family rule and culture.
So, behind the front lines, how do they actually run this thing? Well, the Ayyubids utilized a highly decentralized family federation system. You had the Supreme Sultan ruling from Cairo, while his relatives governed the outer provinces as highly autonomous princes. And sure, this allowed for efficient local management, but it planted a really dangerous seed. When you disperse power among a bunch of ambitious relatives, maintaining a unified vision becomes incredibly difficult.
Now, despite that internal fragility, this period actually sparked a really vibrant cultural renaissance. We're talking about a massive revival in Sunni Islamic education and the construction of numerous madrasas or schools and mosques. But here is probably the most fascinating, kind of mind-blowing takeaway from the entire Ayyubid era. At the exact same time they were fighting European Crusaders in these massive holy wars, they were actively strengthening their economy by engaging in highly profitable maritime trade with European republics. It's wild, but business, it seems, continued as usual.
Which brings us to our final chapter, Part 4, Mamluk Revolt and Fall.
Okay, to understand how this whole thing collapses, we have to talk about the Mamluks. These guys were elite military slaves that formed the absolute backbone of Ayyubid defense and power projection. They were highly trained, incredibly lethal professional soldiers. But relying heavily on an enslaved, specialized warrior class carries the ultimate risk. I mean, what happens when your lethal protectors realize that they are the ones who hold all the actual power? And the catalysts for the downfall? It traces right back to that decentralized family structure we were just talking about. When Saladin died in 1193, the empire lost its unifying founder. Without his overwhelming authority holding everything together, those autonomous princes just began turning on each other. This constant family infighting severely weakened the state from the inside out. The end of the Ayyubid Sultanate came stunningly fast. It's like a giant puzzle just falling apart. The fracturing really takes hold after 1193. Then, by 1250, you get the ultimate betrayal. The Mamluk troops revolt in Cairo, assassinate the last major Ayyubid Sultan, and literally seize control for themselves, establishing the Mamluk Sultanate and abruptly ending Ayyubid rule in Egypt. And what about those tiny pockets that held out in Syria? Well, they were completely swept away by devastating Mongol invasions in 1260. So in less than a century, a powerhouse empire simply vanished.
So all of this leaves us with a really profound question about how these massive empires operate. Did the Ayyubids' decentralized family structure doom them from the very start, or was their fall simply inevitable against the unstoppable rising tides of Mamluk revolts and Mongol invasions? It's a massive debate that historians are literally still fighting over today. Thanks so much for exploring this with us, and we'll see you next time.